Okay, check, check. So three, two, one. We're recording. Going live on TikTok right now. All right, my friends, welcome to episode one of the Scott Young frequency. And what is there to say other than welcome and I love you? A little introduction to this podcast, to this show, is technically it's a live show because we right here on the side got TikTok live going right now. But the point of this show is really just to share my frequency, share what is going on in the ethers of my mind, how we're viewing topics, life, everything from dreams to how to be in the world, perspectives, my perspective, take it or leave it. And simultaneously, we're going to attend to the questions, comments in the TikTok live chat. But given this is the first episode, I do have a couple topics prepared that I will discuss. Hello, everyone joining the stream. So, this is the Scott Young Frequency, episode 1. And yeah, let's just start off with some gratitude for being here, for life, because what a blessing it is just to have the ability to do whatever we want with our time here. Positive, negative. It's all a dream, it's all a play, so might as well play the way that you prefer. Hello everyone on the stream. A little introduction about myself. My name is Scott Young. I am a music producer, recording artist, and yeah, I also enjoy many other things, as you all might know. Specifically, you could say it's philosophy, you could say it's spirituality, a blend of these. However, everything is just language, so as we do more episodes and we kind of get deeper into all the topics, and thank you for all the likes, my friends. If you are about this frequency, smash that like button. We are filming episode 1 of the Scott Young frequency, so quite exciting. And that's who I am. Who are you is the more important question. Who are you here to be? What are you here to show up for? Because you see, my friends, and on this show you'll likely hear me talking about similar topics, but it's always about reinforcing. It's like we have this beautiful cake. We just prepared this beautiful cake. And yes, we're putting a layer of frosting. But it's not just one layer of frosting. One layer of frosting is not enough, as we all know. You got to put many layers of frosting. So often when I rehash similar topics, it's really just about reinforcing, refrosting all of our innate knowledge. And as I'm checking out the comments, this is fun, guys. It's happening live, so whatever this episode 1 ends up being, it's going to be interactive, it's going to be fun. Sexy Tapatio, it's going great. Humankind, congratulations to you. Gabby, Trey, Amy Ree. Love you all. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the show. Hey, Tyler. It's going great, guys. It's going great. Cheers to you. Cheers to life. And just a preface, all perspectives on this show are my own. Take it or leave it. Just my own experiences, but it's exciting to share, and I feel that it's worth sharing. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them. I'll be checking comments periodically, and we're gonna just keep going. So what's today's topic? Today's topic, my friends, is this idea I had when I was exercising the other day, and it came to me that you know that phenomena you have when someone says, "Oh, you remind me of this person." Or they might say, "Your cooking reminds me of my mom's cooking," or "Your music reminds me of Sam Smith," or whatever. "Your shoes remind me of these shoes I saw in Paris." Right? Think about that phenomena. When someone says, "You remind me of something," or something about you, right? Your clothing, your work, your personality. "You remind me of my ex." Oof. You know? Just that happens all the time, right? So it hit me the other day, and I wrote a little thing about it, and maybe I'll read it in a little bit. But that phenomena, it's a very interesting phenomena. And what most humans normally do after hearing that type of remark, such as "you remind me of XYZ, is then they will take that thing they're being compared to by the other person, it's coming out of their mouth. They'll take that thing they're being compared to, whether it's "you remind me of Brad Pitt" or "you remind me of whatever." And then the person on the receiving end of that remark will then draw a comparison to that thing. So let's just say it's like, "You remind me of Brad Pitt," or "Your cooking reminds me of Bobby Flay." And then what the receiver will do will be like, "Yeah, I like Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt's a good looking dude. He's a, Oscar, is he an Oscar winner? I'll have to double check on that. All of these things. Or, Bobby Flay's got great food. Or let's say like you make burgers and someone says like, "Your burgers remind me of In-N-Out," or "Your burgers remind me of McDonald's burgers." So what the receiving person does is they'll immediately draw an association to the thing that they are being compared to, and then decide for themselves, "Do I like that thing? Do I like McDonald's? Is that a compliment? Yeah, Bobby Flay's pretty cool. If my cooking's like Bobby Flay, great." And then we'll allow that to influence our own belief about ourselves. So let's say someone says, "Your shoes remind me of shoes I picked up at Goodwill." So what most people do on the receiving end of that remark, I'm bringing up multiple examples to kind of solidify this point. What most people do would be like, they'll allow that to influence how they think about themselves, whether it's their taste in shoes, or maybe they feel a bit less confident, or whatever. Even worse, maybe they'll start judging the other person for saying that. Hello, everyone on the stream. But the key point to notice is that when someone says, "You remind me of XYZ," it's 100% about them. It's nothing to do with you. You, being in their reality, just happen to remind them of that, spark that in them, trigger that within them. So, very important point, because how dangerous is it for our own self-concept? And for those of you who might not be familiar with this term, I'm probably going to use it pretty often. Self-concept, state of being, all the same thing, which is really just how you feel about yourself. All of the things. For example, "I am strong," "I am healthy," "I'm a badass," or "I am poor and I am not intelligent." All of those "I am" XYZ, XYZ, you add them all together, that's your self-concept. How dangerous is it to allow someone saying, "You remind me of my ex-boyfriend or my ex-girlfriend. Your cooking reminds me of this cooking that wasn't so good or was so good." It goes both ways. So I'm just going to read what I wrote. let's say someone says you remind me of XYZ, or your work or your music or your food reminds me of XYZ. This is always about them and never about you. It's always about their own memories and experiences and their associations based off of those experiences, perspectives, etc. And they just happen to get triggered or reminded by something about you or your work or your personality that reminds them of something in their experience. Humans on the receiving end of that often look at that comparison object and then start drawing associations to that thing and deciding if they like that thing, if it's good, bad, neutral, and then start developing assumptions and conclusions about themselves. However, it's once again giving your power away. And we'll talk about this a lot, giving your power away. Truly, them saying that doesn't mean anything. It means zero. Absolutely zero. Drawing meanings and associations and conclusions about ourselves because of what someone said. Best to stay away. It's always about them. This is a simple example, this reminding phenomena, but it literally applies to everything. I mean, the deeper realization here is that nothing has any meaning. Everything is free of meaning, and you are the meaning giver. That's one of our great powers as being a consciousness, is the free will to decide what meaning we give to certain things. So I want to start with that. This episode, this show, start with that. Hello, everyone on the stream. Love you. Gonna check comments for a second or a minute, but I want to start off with that, and maybe you can see it in your own lives. And it does take a little bit of discipline, you could say, or will or focus, to not allow ourselves to start jumping to assumptions and conclusions just because someone says, "Oh, you look like Cristiano Ronaldo," or "Your music reminds me of XYZ." I mean, hey, if it boosts up your self-concept, if you can take that and feel great about yourself, you're a free spirit. You can choose whatever you want. But how often does it go the other way? I would say quite often for a lot of people. And just remember, it's always about them, never about you. This literally applies to everything. If someone says, "Hey, how you doing? You look great today," they're probably having a good day themselves, and they're radiating that energy. And maybe you do look good, but... So, checking. Hey, Onspo. Hi, everyone. Hi, DJ. Lavi Bochard. Just the fact that you're open to doing the work within shows that you're already there. What are we talking about? Giselle, we're talking about life. So yes, my friends, if you have questions, feel free to drop them. If you have comments. And yeah, I want to start off with that. We could just sit with that for a bit and discuss, because how often do we give our power away to the world? And maybe there's some context setting to do, but I mentioned this giving our power away quite often because where to begin? Well, it is all a simulation. There's nothing out there. So, because everything is within consciousness, you've never experienced anything outside of your experience of it. Without consciousness, without your own I am awareness, you've never had any experience outside of that I am awareness. Every experience, every memory you've ever had, every thought happens within the I am awareness. So the moment we begin saying there's this thing out there in the world, there's this physical circumstance, there's this situation out there, and then we start feeling a certain way about ourselves given that situation, whether it's the numbers in your bank account or the test that you did not pass, you got a D on it, or someone sending you a text when you kind of wanted the opposite response. How often do we allow those circumstances in the physical world to influence how we feel about ourselves? Very bad habit. Very bad habit. That's why I started off with this reminding example, because physical reality is just a mirror. Now, it may be hard to believe if it's your first time hearing this, but indeed, physical reality, the external world, it's all internal. There's nothing out there. Just because you can touch it and with your hands and see it with your eyes or taste it with your tongue doesn't make it real. That's an assumption. So your physical reality is just a mirror of your own state of being, your own self-concept. Whatever you feel within, it's going to reflect that without. As within, so without. As above, so below. So taking your cue from your circumstances is generally how most people live. No judgment, nothing wrong with that, because, being born as a human, it's kind of what we're conditioned to do. We don't know that it's all an illusion. We don't know that it's all a simulation. Use whichever term you'd like. But the funny thing is your circumstances are actually taking their cue from you. They're waiting for you to give it direction via your state of being, via your self-concept. It's waiting for you to give me instructions, sir, madam, god, goddess, because I will morph and shift to whatever you tell me. Amy, welcome to the family. But when we take our cue from the circumstances, it is the victim state. It is saying that there's something out there that can determine my life. And it's just simply not true. And that's why very commonly people kind of feel lethargic, lame, impotent, because once again, you are taking your influence from something that is designed to take its influence from you. Does that make sense? I know it does, somewhere in your consciousness. Thanks for those likes, my friends. If you are feeling this frequency, the Scott Young frequency, feel free to smash the like button so more folks are joining in and can hear this message. So, yeah, I think a very practical example is just when people say, "You remind me of XYZ." How often do we let that influence how we feel about ourselves? Quite often. Quite often. So, whenever we take our cue from the circumstances, we're giving our power away. You have all the power within you to achieve anything, to dream anything, to make anything manifest, to be as happy or as depressed as you would like. But you relinquish your power when you say there's a circumstance or a world out there that can affect me. Now it takes training and discipline, you could say, and will to bring that power back, because yeah, when you're born on this earth, unless you kind of investigate this for yourself and self-introspect, know thyself, you just think you're a person in a meat suit walking around this big world, this big universe. But you're not. The entire universe, my friends, is within you. Always has been, always will be. You've never had an experience outside of consciousness, so that's incredibly liberating to realize, because when you know this, you can then start shaping the dream, shaping your reality. This is what it means to create your reality, to manifest your reality. So, beautiful. So on this reminder topic, when someone says you remind me of XYZ, Perhaps you're able to kind of see through that, knowing that anything that they say, it really has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. Now, that led me to think this also 1000% applies to our own reminders or associations of ourselves. So, at least for me, and I think for a lot of people, you might see a picture or an object in your home or smell a certain fragrance or hear a certain sound that reminds you of something in your past, right? Like maybe you smell something like a certain type of hickory barbecue wood burning and it makes you think about a certain summer, or maybe you hear a certain song and it reminds you of a certain partner or relationship you had, whatever it may be. I think this happens to a lot of people. Makes sense. And I found myself realizing that when this happens, how often do we start to rehash that past and maybe slip into memories of an old state or get caught reminiscing, etc.? And for a lot of us, I feel those past memories, while we do have good memories of the past, generally the past just weighs us down, in my experience. The past is just not exciting. It's not as exciting as the future. It's definitely not as exciting as the now moment. And you can just test this for yourself. Like how often you think about the past or get reminded of the past and you're actually excited. At least for me, it never happens, ever. At best, maybe you have some nostalgia, but nostalgia, comparatively to excitement, is still such a low frequency. It's a low vibration. So, what this whole reminding topic got me thinking was we remind ourselves all the time about ourselves, right? You'll see an old baseball cap and you'll think about a certain situation. Um, and maybe some of the memories are good, but all the ones that are kind of neutral to not great memories, we're reminded of ourselves in that state, are we not? We're subtly reminded, even if it's 1% of ourself back then. And yes, then you can use rationalization and logic to be like, well, I'm a different person now. You are indeed. However, at least in my experience, we're reminded of the versions of ourselves that maybe we weren't so fond of. And then we can easily start to associate ourselves again with certain states and then create all these stories around like, oh, back then I was such a doubter, or I was so unfit or whatever. And even just that reminder, it takes your focus away from the now, from the future, from the present moment, and it's just uh, it's just not how I prefer to live. It's not where the power is at, because the power is at creating fresh each moment. Each moment is fresh. So to read the bit around this point, it Sia says it's truly a blessing and honor to be able to exist at this time. I hope one day people realize that. Yes, it's an honor to exist at any time. So, on this point, what we talked about reminding when someone says you remind me of XYZ, this also applies 1000% to your own remindings or memories of yourself. When you remind yourself via a thought, a sound, a picture, a person, and then in the now moment, you begin to develop slash reinforce a particular self concept, you're perpetuating and recreating the past in the present moment, locking you into that same self concept. I think many of you know this, but the past isn't real. The future isn't real. They're just thoughts. you're having in the now moment. And every time you think about the past, your memories, your experiences, you're just recreating them in the now moment. There's only one moment in existence, and it is now. So keep your refresh rate high and be fresh each moment. Decide from the light of awareness, from the light of I am. Decide now who you want to be, as opposed to letting your past memories or associations or your past stories influence who you are today. You're basically just regurgitating and solidifying this person, this idea you have of yourself, informed by past memories, which definitely, in the most cases, are not as exciting as what you want to be. So decide now who you want to be, who you want to be. Discipline your focus to not allow any reminders from yourself or the external determine anything about you now. This hit for me recently, and it takes practice, you could say, but liberation is the result, because how liberating is it to know that every fresh now moment you can decide without any association from the past, without any thought of the future, who you want to be right now. That's a huge aspect of power. Now, Kane, welcome to the family. Welcome to the family, my friends. My name is Scott Young, and I make the music you want to hear. Right now, we are deep in episode 1 of the Scott Young Frequency, a show to remind you of your true self, a show to remind you that you are already everything you desire to be. So just be that. No doubts, no worries. Just be who you are. And if you want to spread this frequency to more, hit that like button. And we will get it to more. So that's the main message for this evening, my friends. C period. Nice. Ari, hello. 369 Twisted One, hi. Thank you guys. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for sharing your presence, your attention. I believe that the recording of this will also be on YouTube and all those places at a later date, so no worries, you can always watch it back, or if you just joined, you can check it out later. But these are just my experiences, guys. Like, everyone's got their own, but I feel like when I find something that is helpful for myself, it's worth sharing, because who doesn't just want to feel free? Let's be honest. Like, so many of the physical manifestations of freedom, financial freedom, freedom to travel wherever you want, freedom to do whatever you want to do with your time, freedom of time, big one, right? That freedom is just a symbolization of the true freedom that we seek within. Liberation. And in essence, you're already free. You are already free. However, the 3D matrix world, the simulation, the illusion, will hook you in to make you feel as if you're anything but free. And don't we all know this feeling? You know, this essence of freedom is so central to our true nature, and that's why we seek it, because we feel unfree. Some part of us, at least, feels locked up in this world, this society. Don't you ever feel like there's something kind of off? There's something off here. Well, that feeling is your own soul calling for liberation. You know, that's why I believe one of the worst punishments, you could say, is going to prison, because you're locked up. It's like the most physicalized opposite of freedom. So all of these things are just to enhance your freedom, your accessibility to greater levels of awareness, your accessibility to greater levels of yourself. And it's my honor and pleasure to discuss this with you all. I'm going to um I'm going to expand on one more topic in this show, which is it all relates to kind of similar things, which is there's nothing out there, guys. Like I feel like a lot of people don't want to know this because it hurts at the like it makes people kind of feel like their pursuits in life are maybe um, wasted or not worth it, but it's totally not the case. Like it's liberating, and then you can really do whatever you want. But I wrote this thing the other day that says something like this, and Amy Ray Amari sending blessings. Whether we know it or not, we all seek for something real, something that fulfills us and makes us feel complete. Do we not? We all know this feeling. Is we're searching for something that will make us feel accomplished, complete, whole. And yes, it is all a simulation. So how could you ever expect to find something real, my friends, within a simulation? Just logically, it makes no sense. It doesn't exist there. That's why searching for it in the simulation hurts. How often do we project this mirage of happiness, fulfillment? Hey Slim, welcome. How often do we project the sense of happiness, fulfillment? One day I will feel XYZ, whether it's when I meet my perfect partner, when I get that promotion, when I have that company, when I get that award, when I get that Oscar. How often do we project that, then I'll feel whole, complete? Slim, welcome to the family. You know, I think we have enough data now from history that hamster wheel never makes anyone happy. If anything, it goes the opposite direction. It leads to depression, and if you're lucky enough, hitting rock bottom will lead you to realization and awakening. But why don't we just get the lesson now? Because we have so many evidences of it, right? That all the money, the fame, the celebrity, the accomplishments in the world don't mean anything because there's nothing there. It's a mirage. It's empty. That's the biggest thing, guys. It's empty. So when we're searching for fulfillment, something real, authentic, inside of an empty illusion, you're obviously not going to find anything there. However, this hurts the ego, human, physical mind because then one is prone to feel, upon hearing this, they're prone to feel, well, what's my entire life about then? Good question. That's where the investigation starts. That's where you start pulling that golden thread. What's beyond this? What's beyond the illusion? What do I truly want? Who am I really? So a lot of my work, a lot of my philosophy, perspective, you could say is a better term than philosophy, is that nothing out there will make you whole because the wholeness is already what you are. This might be difficult to grok on the first listen or really let it seep into your bones, but from my experience, it is the truth. You're already perfect. You're already complete. There's nothing you have to do to achieve that. You're already completely worthy. How much of our life pursuits as humans are, even subconsciously, subtly, aimed at proving that we're worthy, whether it's to others, but mostly ourselves, that I'm worthy, that I'm good enough, that I'm lovable. And then you can kind of see the human condition is so much of our activities and our musings and our behaviors are driven by this sense that when I do XYZ, when I get XYZ, then I'll be worthy, then I'll be good enough, then I'll be complete. But guys, why can't we just take the red pill, you could say? Or just like, why can't we just take our medicine right now and know that from the outset that nothing out there is going to make us complete and that we already have that within? Isn't that so much more efficient? Not having to go through a lifetime of searching and searching and searching. Hence the story of the prodigal son. In summary, he leaves his father's home, and his father has everything for him, all the riches, the mantle, to be the king, you could say, all of the support, but he has to go and explore the world. He has to go find himself, and he wastes his life away. He wastes all of his riches. He ends up in pigsties and basically wastes his life away. I'm summarizing. Thinking that there's something out there in the world for him. Basically, the analogy is that there's something out there, guys, that you think that might make you complete. And the biggest one is relationships, and we'll talk about that. Or money, that's another big one. But I think relationships are pretty primary. But the prodigal son eventually returns home, and the father is waiting with open arms, with the mantle, the riches, and he says, "Ah, my son, you have finally returned because everything is at home. It's already what you are. The home, the father, is you. It's your power. Don't give your power away to the world unless you prefer to." So it's a big theme in my perspective, in my work, what I wish to share and emit, that there's nothing out there. There's definitely nothing out there. It's all within. So searching for something real out there, which is empty, it's folly if you can see that. And it's liberating as well. Because then you realize that I can fulfill myself every single moment whenever I want. It's not dependent on anything. Talk about unconditional love, right? Or unconditional happiness. Love, happiness, all synonyms for the true feeling, the vibration of what the universe is already, what source, God, whatever term you want to use, already is. It is love. It is bliss. So to make your happiness, your love conditional upon something happening in your life out there, it really goes against the innate fabric structure of the universe, which is unconditional love. But with your free will, you're making it conditional. How crazy is that? I'm not going to be happy until XYZ. Why do you need a reason to be happy? You don't, unless you decide you do. I'm catching up on some comments. Guys, loving this, by the way. This is episode 1 of the Scott Young Frequency. This episode will be on VOD, on video, at some point. And just such a blessing to share this space and share this time with you guys. Mellow Crime, good to see you. Neocane, Nathali, hi. Gayla, hi. I walk towards joy, not really searching, just letting what comes to me and not judging it. Yes, beautiful. Magic. We'll talk about magic probably another episode. When we heal, we are the love we have always been looking for. When we heal, we are the love we have always been looking outside us for. Nathali nailed it. Nailed it. You could use the term heal. That's one way of looking at it. But it's all saying the same thing, which is when you realize who you really are, you've had it all along, my friends. You are already everything you desire to be. And this is so much of my blueprint, my mission, you could say, is to realize that within myself and then transmit it. There's nothing out there that's going to make you fulfilled. How powerful, how liberating is that to know that you no longer have to look? You no longer have to go all around the world, date all of these people, make all of this money. And don't get me wrong, when you realize this, you're definitely going to have abundance. You're going to have money. You're going to have relationships. And they're going to be even more supercharged because you're not coming from this lacking state. That is what law of attraction is, in essence, is what you put out is what you get back. So if you put out this vibration, even subtly, of I'm not going to be whole, I'm not going to be happy until, the universe, God, sees that, and it's going to give you that right back to you. Neo Kane, Scott Young. Did I say this? Apparently, I said, on the journey of learning about I am, I found out I already was. Love that. So good. So good. On the journey of learning about I am, I found out I already was. Yes. So beautiful. It's the truth. And I know you all feel this within. Even folks who hear this and it makes no sense, it all goes over your head, some part of you is picking up what we're putting down here. And that's great, because some part of you is seeking it. And when you seek, ye shall find. Mellow crime, a lot of things in my life currently feel very out of control right now. Well, let's also discuss this a bit. Now Kane. I was saying Neo Kane, it's now Kane. That's what I learned from you just now. Yes, myself included, guys. When you discover I am, which is, you've always had this I am presence within you. Same you that's hearing this audio right now, my voice, is the same you that was looking at yourself in the mirror when you were 8 years old. It's the same you that was thinking about what am I going to eat yesterday. And it's the same you that's going to be aware that you're getting out of bed tomorrow. That I am has always been with you. You and it are inseparable. You are one. And when you realize really that all the power and all of the world exists within that, then you realize that everything you've been looking for is that. It's been calling for your attention loudly, which is why I surmise that it's one of the reasons people like attention. It's symbolized potentially in the wrong, not the wrong way, but in a way that's illusory. We all like attention to some degree, but it's really because our true self, which is the I am awareness, our inner God, goddess, our true spirit, is seeking more attention from ourself. It's like saying, hey, look at me, I've always been here. So that's why I think like the ego, physical mind enjoys getting attention from the world or from social media or all this nonsense, because it's a cheap imitation of the true attention we seek. Mellow Crime, it's good to see you as well. Welcome. Everything that is out there is created by the elements that created us, from smallest to biggest. Yes, everything is one at the end of the day. We have so many topics to discuss, my friends, and we'll dive into it in future shows, future episodes. But yes, all is one, one is all. Quantum physics is starting to catch up and prove this, you could say, but it's always been a fact that every subatomic particle is made of the same stuff that the entire universe is made out of. from the smallest to the largest, to us, to your thoughts, to your family, to the piece of bread you're eating. So, mellow crime, I go back and forth between wanting attention slash being perceived and throwing my phone into the ocean. Why not do both? JK. Just kidding. I think the seeking of attention, while natural, you could say, is just, it's still seeking for something out there. And on that point that you mentioned earlier, mellow crime, which I think is very interesting. A lot of things in my life currently feel very out of control right now. What's the issue with that? What's the issue with that? Humans as well, we just often we want to know, we want to in a way control the situation. We want to control the outcome. But the thing is, my friends, is, and you'll all find this, or maybe you already have in your own journeys, is this vibration of control. This vibration of control. You seek the control, but you're just not going to get it in the way that you think you're going to get it by strategizing with your mind and overthinking things and trying to manage your circumstances. That what you hope to get from control, from controlling a situation or controlling your life or controlling the circumstances or the people around you or whatever, the avenues and the strategies you take to control it to get the outcome actually arrives by completely letting go, surrender. Because there's a natural control, you could say, built into the universe, into the way things naturally are. It's already built in. You don't have to do anything. We just have to get out of the way, which can be hard, I understand, for the physical mind, because we want to know what tomorrow looks like. We want to know that, things are going to work out the way that we want them to. But in a way, and I'll talk a lot about this in the future as well, it's a bit arrogant. It's arrogant in thinking that we know how things should end up, as opposed to our higher self, source, the universe, God, already got things perfectly planned out. So when things feel out of control, no worries. Let things fly around. Let things be crazy. That's also how magic happens. We'll talk more about magic as well. Amari, Amy Ray, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that, but all I can say is blessings and try to feel as good as you can. Think about something that lifts you up because what you put out is what you get back. So if you put out feelings of worry and anxiety or fear, it might not result in a state you prefer, in circumstances you prefer. And this leads to another interesting point about just, you could say, state of being, law of attraction, law of assumption, which is people fear like, oh man, I can't stop thinking my negative thoughts. And they get worried because those negative thoughts, it's going to attract more negative circumstances. What do I do? Well, one tip I've heard, which is very helpful, is when you're not feeling great, don't be thinking. Don't think. When you don't feel great, when you don't feel blissful, powerful, just don't think. Because it's way easier than trying to think your way out of quicksand or trying to think your way out of a rabbit hole. You just need to surrender. Well, that's one. You could also take the path of will and focus, but just surrender. Do something else. Watch a movie, play a video game, come on the stream and just hang out. You know, go cook, go work out, because sooner or later you're gonna snap right out of it, and everything shall be well. Wow, everyone joining the stream at this point, welcome. I love you. I love you all. Sending you all my highest love and blessings and frequency that I'm able to access. You're already everything you desire to be. The reality that you wish to see in your life already exists. Creation is finished. Creation is finished and everything already exists. So all you have to do is align to the state of being and that feeling of what would it feel like if everything's already complete. Stay with that feeling, and before you know it, the mirror has to reflect. Mellow crime distractions only work for so long, though. I ran a marathon to avoid overthinking once. Yes, it's less about distracting yourself and more so what I just said about stop thinking and go do something. It's less about distracting yourself and more about understanding I'm not feeling the way I want to feel right now. And instead of thinking more about how I am not feeling how I want to feel right now and activating more thoughts and law of attraction, attracting more non-preferable, unpreferable circumstances. Instead of doing that, it's instead of distracting yourself, it's more so just taking whatever method, and everyone's got different methods, using whatever method to snap yourself out of that state. Sometimes you can snap right out of it. Be like, wait a second, why am I thinking so negatively? Is this what I truly prefer? That's one way of snapping out of it. Another way could be listening to a meditation, listening to one of your favorite teachers or your favorite music, or coming on the stream and hanging out. And that over time might soften your vibration and allow you to see higher and higher perspectives. That's another method. Or another method for some could be working out or watching a movie that they enjoy, playing a video game, reading a book. So distraction is totally not what I intend to transmit. It's more so just when you're not feeling great, stop thinking. Especially if you can see yourself going down rabbit holes, because it's just not productive. Sooner or later, you will snap back. However, it's just a matter of how long do you want to delay that snapback for. Hi, everyone who's joining. Welcome. My name is Scott Young. This is the Scott Young Frequency. I make the music you want to hear. Guys, I got a lot of fun stuff. Music. Other stuff I can't share. Plans and beyond excited to share it with you all, so stay tuned. Stay tuned. This episode will be on replay on YouTube and all that good stuff, so ideally all of the podcast stations as well, so keep an eye out. Now, Kane, where have you been? I know self-affirmation has always completed things for me. This makes sense. This makes so much sense. Strangely enough, I woke out of dead sleep, opened this app, and you were the first video. Now, Kane. Perfect. Synchronous. This is the first time you're coming on the stream. Well, welcome and love you. Yeah, there's no such thing as coincidence, my friends. Read differently, it's coincidence. The root being coincide. However, we often say, oh, it's just a coincidence, basically implying that it's random or it's chaos. Nonsense. Coincidence. Everything that's unfolding in your life, in my life, in everyone's life is happening for you, not to you. You guys have all probably heard this before. So it's just a matter of how keen are you able to pick up on it and then realize whatever nugget, whatever learning is in there for you. So, nice. Welcome. First time. Okay, cool. Love it. Yes, yes. Malacrime, I used to be able to snap out of it quick, but my usual methods aren't working lately. That's okay. Life comes from you, not at you, type beat. That's great. I love that. I want to screenshot some of these, but I'm afraid not afraid, but I don't know if the stream is gonna shut down. So, Life comes from you, not at you type beat. I'm just gonna write this down real quick. That's funny. Life comes from you, not at you type beat. 369 Twisted One. Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, this will be regular. This will be regular. This is the first episode, so still kind of feeling things out, but I feel it's going great right now. So yeah, the general format I'm thinking at least right now will be I have a couple topics prepared, and you guys can always watch this back if you just joined. And at the same time, we'll be on doing this live, so I can kind of see how you guys are feeling and reacting to the subject material. Any comments, questions, we can talk about them. Um, Now, Kane, I've been on an enlightening journey. Then here you are. Here you are. It's all about. You guys wouldn't be hearing this. I truly know this in my heart. You wouldn't be hearing this and coming across this, whether you're watching this live or on a video back, unless some part of you was, you could say, ready or attracted or willing to hear whatever I'm saying out of this mouth. Because truly, whatever is coming out of me is just a reflection of you. So if you're feeling the message, if you're feeling the frequency, it's just a reflection of the love that's already within you, and the fact that you know that you are everything already. So nice. So nice. And there definitely is something to collective energy. So the more kind of concentrated, and you could say the more of us that are feeling this wholeness within, things change very rapidly. Oh yes, Melocram, on your point, when you're saying I used to snap out of it quickly, but recently my methods haven't been working. That's okay. You know, peaks and valleys, my friend. Peaks and valleys, not ups and downs. Because ups and downs is like this, going up and down, up and down. It's kind of like a roller coaster. It's like, man, is this thing ever going to stay up? Whereas peaks and valleys, if you look at any mountaintop, any mountain range, like Everest, of course there's a summit, there's a peak. However, it's made up of a bunch of peaks and valleys. And peaks and valleys is great because overall your trajectory is always up and to the right. A valley is just an upside down peak. A valley is just building momentum to go up. So it's all about how you look at it. Another kind of, you could say, key principle of my perspective, especially now, is just no matter what happens in your life, my friends, whatever's going on out there, tornadoes, storms, bankruptcy, metaphorically, but also real in the real sense, you always have the power to decide how you want to look at things, perspective. And if you decide to give everything in your life a positive meaning, even if on its face it looks horrible, it looks like, wow, this is really not great. If you decide to give it a positive effect, a positive meaning, you'll only get a positive response and a positive effect out of it. This is my experience. It's always true. It always works this way. So even when you're in a valley state, right, where you can't really snap out of it, just get excited about it and know that, wow, I don't know how, but this valley state is working out perfectly for me right now, and it's setting me up for the next peak. So people might call you crazy. Fine, don't share it with them. You know within yourself that you are the creator, that you have all the power in the world to attribute any sort of meaning you want to anything. So that's what I would say mellow crime is when you are in a state of, man, I just can't snap out of it right now. Just know that you're just marinating, you're just absorbing. and this is my experience as well, whenever I go really high, a high peak, I won't say inevitably. However, there are periods where I need to kind of integrate all of those learnings. And you might experience that as, for example, a lower state or not feeling as you want to feel. But just know that, and they are difficult, they are challenging, don't get me wrong, because who doesn't like feeling high and in ecstasy and bliss and alignment all the time? However, it is those valley experiences and periods that really allow you to, first of all, have the contrasts. For example, you wouldn't know how sweet ice cream is until you've tasted like something not sweet, or you wouldn't know how beautiful the sun is until you've been inside all day. You know what I mean? So the contrast is very helpful to be so grateful and appreciative of the peak experiences. But more important than that is you can realize that the valleys are really just a time to integrate, to learn. Because when you're always flying high, you just don't have time to process everything that's you're learning and that's going on. So the valley moments are actually very crucial as well. So you always have the ability to take a positive interpretation from it, and I encourage you to do so. Koshka, welcome to the family. Guys, I'm going to read a few more comments and wind down. We've just passed the 1 hour mark, I believe, roughly. So, yes. Love the comments, everyone. And love the back and forth between you all just sharing information. Melocrime, if this is Mount Everest, I'm currently climbing to the death zone and on my last tank of O2. LMAO. You're funny. I like it. I like it. And but you know what's at the top of that Melocrime? You're heading to the summit. And at the summit, you're gonna realize so much about yourself. You'd be like, wow, I love life. And inevitably, as long as you still have desire within you, and we'll talk about desire in the future, you're going to find another Everest and another Everest. But ultimately, you're always going up, my friends. The future, if you always take a positive interpretation of everything, it's an inevitability that the future is always better than the past, which is why, coming full circle perfectly, bury the old, bury the dead, leave the past behind. Because what you're about to do right now, and the next moment, and the next moment, I guarantee you, is more exciting than the past. Do not let your past, unless you want to, do not let your past define who you are today, because secret, the past isn't even real. It doesn't mean the experiences you had were not real. However, your definitions and your concept of the past and what it means for you today, utterly fabricated. You're deciding with your free will right now that you want to recreate that past in the present moment. Until I mentioned your third grade math teacher, or do we have math teachers back? Your third grade teacher, you didn't think about that until I reminded you of that. So we have the free will to not be remind ourselves, and it's all about kind of sharpening our focus, because our focus determines what we see in the illusion. And that's it, guys. I appreciate you. Wow, so many likes. So awesome. I appreciate all of you tuning in for episode 1 of the Scott Young Frequency. I trust that some part of you enjoyed it, or was triggered by it, or whatever. And also to set the stage, I think a lot of people use this term trigger nowadays, generally referring to a negative reaction. And that definitely can be one. But when I use the word trigger, it really just means to catalyze something, to kick something off, to hit a domino. It doesn't necessarily have any negative or positive connotation. It just means that something caused something else to feel, you feel, now you feel a certain way about it. You could trigger ecstasy, you could trigger bliss. So But we'll also play with that general meaning that people have, because if you're getting triggered by something in the traditional sense of, oh man, this really kind of ruffles some of my feathers, good. There's something to learn there about yourself, because ultimately we wish to fly high in the simulation in the matrix with no triggers at all. How beautiful is that? You're not triggered by anything. And the more you know thyself, you will realize that all of your triggers are limiting boxes for you to transcend and thus realize more of your ultimate freedom. So, my friends, bless your souls, bless your hearts. You can follow me everywhere. All the links are in my descriptions, my bios. And really looking forward to continuing this show, this transmission, this frequency. And bless your souls, bless your hearts. And let's end with a little silence, which is always beautiful. You're already everything you desire to be. My name is Scott Young. I make the music you want to hear. This has been the Scott Young Frequency. See you next time. Bye bye. Love you.